In the center of the universe, on an artificial patchwork world created by the mysterious architects who take environments and cultures from all known space and smash them together for unknown purposes. A new arrival is here, the village of High Rannoc, and with them the villagers, and with them the crew of the prosperous performance. How will the Crucible change them? And what will they do when they learn that from the Crucible there is no escape? Hello and welcome back. I am Royce Rosewood, your host and storyteller, and this is Sphere Hoppers. It is so good to be back. I have been thinking about this for months. If you've been following along live, you know I've taken a break to take care of some other things like preparing my novel for release. But now we are ready to get back into our ongoing story. So if you have no idea what's going on or you need a refresher, I've created a recap video that should pull out sort of the major threads as I'm thinking about them as we go into what I'm thinking as part 2 of Sphere Hoppers. One of the things about our current circumstance is we are trapped on the Crucible. We are separated from the rest of the universe, from the rest of the spheres. And because of that, I'm going to pause some of our threads and characters that we've been tracking, because I don't think they're going to be relevant. So the Possessed Crystal King, about the Realm of Honey, Shiosa and the Aether Explorer, the Geomancer Puppeteers, the Smoking Agitator, all of those characters and threads, I'm going to pause because I'm just going to say we're not going to encounter those on the Crucible. Now, the things that we are still tracking for our threads, the search for the Orbs of Ro'oria, that's still going to be relevant. Finding a cure for Browdana, that's still going on. Suvara's quest for her divine merit badges, still going. And then seeking a resurrection for Cam the Wizard, still going. NPCs that we might encounter. Luichpelt, the Archivist Lich, is likely still here on the Crucible, in my imagination, and the automatons. The Harag Zul from the Gozer campaign, we haven't encountered them yet, but last we saw them, they were put into a portal, so it's possible they've ended up here on the Crucible. We don't know for sure. I've added Fabum Rajasaurus and the Saurian Arbitrators Guild, because that's from our Keyforge campaign, and we are going to be obviously integrating that campaign into our ongoing story. We've got Alalix, the Witch, Zavina, who's the Duck Pilot, and Thorada, the Demon. Because I am a relentless tinkerer and I cannot help myself, have changed the way that the Die of Fate works. Now, if you've seen the show before, the Die of Fate is what introduces, randomness and what makes our threads and characters kind of pop up at unexpected times. It's based on the Mythic Game Master emulator, and I've put it all together in a single die roll. And how it works is I roll a d12 with a modifying fate die, which has a plus, a minus, and a blank. And I roll those together, and that tells me what happens. On a 7 or higher, so 50% of the time, we just go with the expected scene. And then the rest, depending on what number you roll and what modifier you roll, is going to tell us how our scene is either interrupted or altered. What other tools are we using? I am using my combined Story Engine deck, Deck of Worlds, Lore Masters deck, in case we need ideas for specific things. It's a great tool. I've used it for other things. It's great when you need an idea for something specific. Also, since we are going to be on the Crucible and using the Keyforge setting, for those of you who don't know, Keyforge is mostly a card game. It's probably my favorite game. This is the RPG setting, but Keyforge runs around a series of procedurally generated decks. I'm going to be using this sealed Unchained deck as an oracle if we need ideas specifically related to the Crucible. So I have not opened this yet. I don't know what's in it. could be any number of cards. And because it's an Unchained deck, for those of you who don't know, it's pulling from a very, very large pool of cards. So and then finally, the framework that I'm using for this kind of first part of the campaign is a role-playing game called The Quiet Year. It's generally a collaborative game and a map-making game. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be really doing it justice because it really is meant to be a collaborative game. It's meant to be about hard conversations and community. And there's things and systems in the game that I just can't emulate by myself. But the reason that I'm using it is because it's got this great oracle in the back, using a deck of cards for different events that can happen to the community. And so I'm thinking about, the village of High Rannoc, and it's been dropped into the Crucible, and they're stuck here, and things are going to be changing, and this community is going to be, struggling to, survive and cope in this new and wild place. Where are we at? Who's still here? At the end of the last episode, there was a conflict going on. And I made some notes about who is still here, and I have made some little character cards with little illustrations of how I imagine the characters. In terms of our party, we've got Dragog, the mesmologist. We've got Suvara, the questing knight. We've got Krisnan, the tiny bird chef. We've got Zamzes, our goose peacemaker. We've got Pointage, the winged dwarf, who also now is an herbalist witch healer, too. We've got Janshi, who's Suvara's horse. We've got Alalix, the previous witch. She was there. We've got Zavina, the duck pilot, and Thorada. And these people were all on the side of the Devourer, currently revived. So they were all there at that final conflict. And then also, there was the stag, right? The other god who was stabbed. So there's like a stag god corpse, unless it evaporates. I don't know. We'll see. So we've got Gabrima, the speaker of the stag. We've got the giant who was on the side of the stag. There's, any number of albatrosses. There are fey creatures. I didn't make a thing for them because we didn't have any specific characters, but they'll be around. All of those people are definitely with us. Oh, and then the dragon. So that's all who's here, for sure. Here's how I'm thinking. Here's the map that I drew. Hopefully it's bright enough. So we were by Heroes Hollow. That's where it took place. Heroes Hollow is kind of the dungeon area. I was imagining, this portion of High Rannoc and the surrounding areas has been transported. So we've got Heroes Hollow, Glimmerwood Grove, and then I'm going to say half of the village of High Rannoc, where the line that got transported went right through the village. So some people are here, some of their resources and tools and institutions are here, and the rest is not. And the village has been split in half. And only some people have come with us to the Crucible. So to represent that for our first kind of game thing, I've made these cards, obviously, for characters who are definitely here, but then I've made these cards for other villagers that we met through the Apothecaria campaign. There are 8 of them, and to represent the splitting, I'm going to shuffle them, and 4 are going to come with us to the Crucible, and 4 we're going to drop off. So we're going to leave it up to chance of which of these characters are going to come with us. So, all right. So who is coming with us? We've got the Wolverine. Okay, the Wolverine was a creature that Pointage healed several times. So that's going to be interesting. We'll see. We've got Macthan. Great. The eccentric balloonist. Oh, that's fun. I like him. We've got Fleecy. Okay, I didn't actually name this character yet, but if you recall, there was this sheep that Pointage kept rescuing and wanted to keep going on adventures and stuff. Okay, so Fleecy's going to come with us. We've got the adventure sheep, and who else? We've got Havrina, the adventurous innkeeper, the innkeeper who wanted to go on adventures. Well, obviously, there are other villagers who have come in the transport. We just don't know them yet, so we'll have an opportunity to meet them. So one of the first things that you do in the Quiet Year, you establish your starting map. And then also you think about starting resources. And these are things that are important to your community and its survival. So we're going to have a list of resources, and then one of them is going to be in abundance, something that we have a lot of. And the rest are going to be in scarcity, some things that we need but don't have, and that's going to create conflict and drama. So I'm thinking one of the things that we know from Our experience in High Rannoc is that there, especially in the woods and in the other surrounding areas, there are a lot of like healing magical ingredients. Something that's important to the Crucible is a resource called Amber, glowing magitech crystal. It's what powers the magic. It's what powers the technology in the Crucible. So I'm going to write Amber because that's important. And then I think for the last thing, I want to generate something random. So I'm going to draw something from the Lore Master's deck. I'm going to draw a material card and then maybe a modifier. Well, I drew this card and I'm going to choose Mechanism, Mecha Iron. And I'm going to draw a secondary material card, and it's going to tell us more about what Mecha Iron is. I'm going to choose Banned by a Faction. So we don't really know what Mecha Iron is yet. We know it's banned. We don't know what it does or why it would be banned or who's banned it. So now of these three, we pick one to be in abundance. Well, I was thinking the healing magical ingredients would be in abundance. But if this Mecha Iron is banned, then maybe the village has kind of like dropped like onto like a large cache of it, and that's going to create troubles for them. So we're going to say the Mecha Iron is in abundance. We'll draw that on the map. We'll say it's kind of near Hero's Hollow. How this plays is for every week we draw a card, we resolve that event. Then if we have any ongoing projects, those advance, and then we can take an action. So we can either discover something new, hold the discussion, which is something we're probably not going to do because that's more for the social aspect, or we can start a project. And what I'm going to be doing is for that action, I'm going to decide something that we want to do as our expected scene, and then we'll roll our die of fate to see any external circumstances modify that. Actually, the first thing that I want to do is because we've had this cycle where the stag was ascendant and now the devourer is ascendant. I want to know what happens to the followers of the stag. Are they going to be involved in this village, or are they going to go off and do their own thing? Let's ask the fate chart. Do the followers of the stag stick around? I'm going to say that's unlikely. I'm going to roll our dice here. 72, no. Okay, so after the stag is defeated, the followers of the stag go off. So I'm going to add them to our NPC list in case they come back. Here's why we don't have the healing magical ingredients. So the Fae creatures, the fairies that lived in Glimmerwood Grove, were followers of the stag. And now that the stag has fallen, they are going with the followers of the stag and leaving and pulling their magic out of Glimmerwood Grove. So all of the magic and healing stuff that was there is now gone. In the full game, you go through the whole year, and that's 13 weeks for each season. I don't know how long each of these is going to take, so we're just going to play it by ear, and then we'll just keep that consistent through the other seasons. The village has been dropped into the Crucible. The stag has been defeated. The stag's followers, in this chaos, retreat, pull their magic away. The rest of the villagers, try to make sense of what's happened. They've got this half village, it's partially crumbling. People are like, who's here? Who's not here? And, they kind of all get settled, and they discover, there's this mine that's got this iron that they don't really know anything about. Let us see what happens this first week. All right, so we've drawn the 9 of Hearts. A charismatic young girl convinces many to help her with an elaborate scheme. What is it? Who joins her endeavors? Start a project. Let's give her a name. She seems like she might be important. 41, Kev. 23, Kevda. There's this chaos and there's all this uncertainty, and people are really worried. And then sort of in the midst of this, there's this young girl from the village. Her name is Kevda. And she kind of inspires people and says, no, we can survive here. We can rebuild here. Let's work on rebuilding our village and getting it up and running again. So we'll say, that's going to take about 4 weeks. So we'll, start a project here. It starts at 4. And then who's going to help her? Havrina, Alalix, and Pointage are all kind of pitching in on this. So now we can either discover something new, or we can start a project. Well, I think we need to like start exploring like the nearby areas and see what's like going on, like what's the surrounding landscape. We know it's like a patchwork world, but like what are the other environments that are nearby? So I think Macthan, quite the explorer. Zavina, the pilot, quite the explorer. Dragog is going to be interested in, kind of taking the lay of the land. I think they're going to kind of go south, kind of in the direction of like what's around this mine. So we'll say there's like an area kind of down to the south. And they're just doing like a cursory, survey to see, okay, what's to the south of here? And I'm going to draw some cards. I'm going to draw a region card. I anticipated this. I came up with like a little table of like what to like modify it to make it weird for the Crucible. So, all right. So, there's an ocean. Interesting. All right. And then I was going to roll 2 dice. Okay. So we're going to give it an aspect and an origin. A lot of good choices here. I'm going to see what else we get. So to the south here, they find a fungal ocean. I'm going to draw some like mushroom caps. I'm imagining, just like these mushroom caps just like floating on top of each other in like this huge pile. And it says here, this is the pet project of a petty god. Now, in the Crucible, in the Keyforge setting, there are beings called archons, and these are mysterious beings of energy who pull together these, bands of heroes to go on quests and open vaults and find amber and, do other things. I'm going to reinterpret in our context a petty god to be an archon. So, and also just because I want to go ahead and open this up, I want to, because every Keyforge deck has an archon is the name of the deck. We're going to open it up, and that's going to be the archon who's kind of involved here in this fungal sea. So here's what we've got. We've got Viceroy I Orionut. And we can see, it's got a kind of weird face, and it's got, arms coming out of its head, and it's got kind of like robot arms, and it seems kind of dripping. It seems pretty weird. The factions that are in play here are Mars, which is Martians, Dis, which is demons, and Shadows, which is like thieving elves, kind of cyberpunk elves. So Dragog, Zavina, and Macthan are kind of exploring to the south, and they see, this fungal ocean and all these mushroom caps, and they see this kind of creature, this spirit being, looks kind of scary, kind of managing it and attending to it. Right, I was going to roll the die of fate. Well, anyway, I didn't. We'll just say it was the expected scene because I wanted to get into this stuff. So we'll go ahead and just say that was the expected scene. All right, and we'll make sure to roll our die of fate for the next ones. Okay. All right. Drawing a card. Ace of Hearts. It says, what group has the highest status in the community? What must people do to gain inclusion in this group? I feel like the followers of the Devourer, the cultists of the Devourer, now that the Devourer is ascendant, now have sort of a higher status, and the word has gotten out and spread to the villagers like, oh, the Devourer is around and alive, maybe hanging out back in Kiro's Hollow. Lalix and Pointage and Zavina and Thorada, the ones who were most closely involved with that, who were already kind of known in the village, they are now kind of have a higher status. And what must people do to gain inclusion in this group? Devotion to the Devourer, the rituals, and they were pretty big on magic. And they believed that magic should be, used by people, where the stag was like, no, people shouldn't use magic. Now we decrease our projects by 1, so we get more. And then we get to either discover something new or start a project. Dragog, Zavina, and Macthan are going to keep exploring. We're going to discover something new over here. Let's see what region. There's a coast. Oh, that makes sense. Well, if there's this ocean, right, maybe that extends all the way over here. All right. And what are we going to learn about this coast? 2 and 4 aspect and attribute. And we're going to call this the corrupted coast. Oh, I forgot to do our die of fate again. What comes to bear? Okay, expected scene. Great. I'm going to say it has good walking trails because that's funny to me. All right. So, draw a trail down through here. So I'm imagining Corrupted Coast, like the fungal sea spreads all the way out to the kind of like the west side of this. So I'm going to draw some more fungus over here. So they're kind of on the edge of things here. And the Corrupted Coast being, the fungus is starting to like encroach upon the land. It's still like nice to like walk down there and like see. So even, corrupted, being the sense that it's taking over. And, maybe there might be some, evil things at play. We know that there are demons involved, yeah. But it's still like fun to like walk down there, and like it's pretty accessible to go down from Glimmerwood Grove down to this Corrupted Coast. Next week, Jack of Hearts. It says, you see a good omen or you see a bad omen. What is it? Maybe we'll go ahead. I'm going to shuffle our Keyforge deck. Going to go ahead and draw something Keyforge specific for this omen. See what we get. All right, so we've got this card. This is Nexus, who's like a cyberpunk elf who's like stealing something. So I think this bad omen is stuff starts to go missing, right? So people are like, taking inventory, they're trying to, compile what's left and make sense of like, okay, what resources do we have? What do we not have? They've converted one of the buildings into kind of a storehouse, and they're keeping track, but stuff starts to go missing. And so there are thieves at play, and the villagers are, starting to wonder, is it someone in the community? Is the thief in the community, or are there forces are there creatures, beings here who are, stealing from us? So now like suspicion is starting to brew, distrust is starting to brew in the community. All right, now I think we're going to keep discovering something new. I really just want to kind of know the environs of like what's going on. So we'll go explore something new, kind of near the village right now that we're like, okay, we got to see what's out there. Are there creatures out there who are trying to steal from us? We'll go ahead and roll our die of fate to see if that's actually what happens. 3 with a blank. Oh, and our project advances by 1. 3 with a blank involves one of our threads. 6-sided die here. And if we get one of our blanks, we get to pick 3. It's a blank. Okay, well, here's something that I've been thinking about. Here's Zamzes, right? The Goose, Peacemaker, whose star sibling, Kim, was killed by the undead frogs and has been looking for a resurrection. It occurs to me that a lich like Luichpelt might be able to offer that kind of resurrection. We know Luichpelt is still around. Last we saw them, they had been neutralized in Heroes Hollow in the sort of a hidden chamber, and we know Heroes Hollow has come with us. So we don't know, so Luichpelt is also trying to adjust to these new surroundings and has these automatons. Zamzes is out exploring, going, to Heroes Hollow, trying to take inventory, collect what can be collected, and encounters Luichpelt. And Zamzes, is obviously like, hey, stop, closer. And Luichpelt says, wait, you are missing someone, and I can see it. I can detect death and loss and longing. I am a lich. I could help you resurrect your friend. And Zamzes thinks about this. Oh, where is... Such a weird question. Where is Cam's corpse? Last we saw it, it was on the ship, which was kind of outside of High Rannoc. Would Zamzes have brought Cam's corpse with them? No, I think they would have left it at the ship. So the question is, did the Prosperous Performance, Kristen's ship, get transported, or did it not? And Zamzes says, that's something you can do. And Luichpelt says, of course, I just need access to the body. And I think they've been busy with other things, but I think now, so we were going to discover something new, but we got interrupted by this thing. So I think Zamzes is maybe going to take a couple people and try to go see if they can find the ship, if the ship got transported with the stuff. So let's see. Who's going to go with Zamzes? Dragog is interested. Suvara and Janshi are going to go because it's like their ship. And Kristen's worried about it, but I think Kristen is kind of more involved in the village. Give them a project, and we'll call it. Give them 2 weeks to like go and see if they can find the ship. All right, next week, King. A young boy starts digging in the ground and discovers something unexpected. What is it? Yeah, let's get inspiration from our Keyforge deck. So this is a demon. This is Restringuntus, kind of a, it's got whips. So I think we were talking right earlier, like this fungal ocean over here might be, have demon influence. So I think, a young boy goes down to the beach and is digging and like opens up, let's do like a demon portal and unleashes these demons that come out. And in the Crucible, demons like to feed on the emotions of other sentients, really powerful emotions. So negative emotions or positive ones. And this is a problem. All right, so we count down on our projects. And I think, yes, they want to keep exploring, but I think like this demon portal is kind of like a big issue. But we've got a demon with us, a different kind of a demon, but, Tharada might be able to like talk to or communicate with these demons. So we're going to call that like start a project to be like negotiate or make a barrier or, somehow defend ourselves from these demons. All right, so let's roll our die of fate, see if that's actually what happens. 9 and positive. Okay, so I think things kind of go well for us. So I think Tharada is able to kind of like negotiate boundaries of be like, hey, we're here. This is the edge of our territory. But I think also like that sort of consumes all of like Tharada's time. So I think like that we're just going to put like Tharada here as like a permanent, negotiator. Maybe we build like a little demon house, a little like gateway. Tharada stays here. Tharada like keeps the demons at bay. Next week, 8. An old piece of machinery is discovered, broken but perhaps repairable. What is it? What would it be useful for? Machinery makes me think of this mine here, right? This mecha iron mine, like a mining device. Draw some gears. So like if they wanted to, make use of that, let's draw like an aspect just to tell us like a little bit of something about this. We'll call it the machine of 1,000 cuts from here. So it's got like lots of blades. And that's how it like bores through the ground. Okay, so that's available if they want to fix that up. All right, so these two projects happen to resolve at the same time. So they have successfully kind of rebuilt, reorganized High Rannoc. And I think to be kind of playful, they kind of changed the name now that it's been cut in half. And they're going to call their new town Half Rannoc. But it's like stable and organized and like they've rebuilt the buildings. And like that feels like secure. Now they were going to try to find the ship, the Prosperous Performance. So the question is, could they? Did they find it? I'm just going to call that 50-50. 54. No. Ugh, not quite. So close. Yeah, so it's not there. Cam's body was in there. Wow. So I think Zamzes is, really sad. It feels like another loss, right? You lose your friend and then you lose them again. You can discover something new or start a project. Well, I think they still want to see what's over here, right? We've been trying to do that. We've been interrupted by other things. Let's test. Oh, oops, wrong die. All right, 6 blank. We do explore, but it's altered by like a strange object. Let's see what we find over here. All right, Briars. All right, Origin Advent. Briar's origin of a school of philosophy. A prophet is claiming to speak for a new god. So there's kind of some brambles over here. So there's somebody here, right? There's some sort of like school, and we're gonna, draw on our Crucible deck to see kind of what's going on here. Okay, we've got like a little thief, a little elf. So there's like definitely other people there, but these elves are like a little bit more religious, or maybe they're trying to like gain the favor of Archon. Yeah. So elf village. And that's where things have been going missing. Right? These are thieves, right? These are elves. They've been stealing resources, and they've been trying to gain the attention and the favor of this Archon. Oh, and that's the item, right? We were supposed to alter it with an item. So all the things that got missing got found. All right, now we have to kind of like negotiate with like this. Okay, we got demons this way. We've got elves this way. If we're doing 3, then that means, Martians this way. That's no good. All right, so now there's this elf village to deal with, and they've been stealing from us. All right, next week, next event, 4. All right, what important and basic tools does the community lack? Well, I'm wondering, like, maybe they, don't have any farming equipment. So maybe they decide that, if they can get this mining machine working and getting this mecha iron, maybe they can start making tools. They're going to try to start a project, but we're going to use our Die of Fate. See what happens there. 4. Altered by a character. A weird or unexpected character. Well, maybe somebody from the Crucible. All right, look at this. Okay, this is a demon, right? And he's kind of holding something in his grasp, and that kind of looks almost like the thing that I just drew, right? That mining machine. So a demon, right, has kind of like taken over this. Oh, and this is the faction that's Bandit, right? There's something about the mecha iron that the demons don't like. They have a particular weakness to it or something. They're trying to rebuild that, but it gets captured by this demon. They try to start that project, but it just doesn't work. Okay, I think we'll do like one more week. All right, 5. Alarming weather patterns destroy something. How and what? Well, this is going to be kind of weird, but let's draw a Crucible card. See what kind of weird weather. Okay, so this card's got like a claw and it's got some thorns. So maybe there's like a thorn storm that comes down. Maybe it destroys the witch's cottage. And this is sort of a sign to like pointage and allelix of like, okay, we used to be separate and removed from the village, but now we are, honored and exalted in the village. And, the old thing has been destroyed, but now we live in the village with the other people trying to make it work. And then one last chance. Let's discover something new. I think we decided maybe there's Martians down here, but we'll roll on our Die of Fate. 1, an NPC positive. Let's roll, see what we get. It's a D12. 3. Perfect. Perfect. It's Fabian Rajasaurus. They're going down and exploring. We know that there's Martians over here, maybe, ? And, they start to explore. They're getting settled. And out of the wilderness, whatever it is, comes this dinosaur person. Looks like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, not a Tyrannosaurus Rex. A Rajasaurus, very different. And it's got this brown wide-brimmed hat and this dust jacket. It's got this weird gun. Comes out and says, "Sorry it's taken me so long to get here. I'm Fabian Rajasaurus. I'm with the Saurian Arbitrators Guild. And you're new here to the Crucible. And I'm here to help." And that is where we're going to stop it. Oh, perfect. See, the dice just help us out and tell us exactly what we need. All right. Thank you so much for following along. I hope you enjoyed our first step back into the Crucible and getting connected with these characters and watching this community transform. It's so fun for me. Thank you so much for following along. And this is Sphere Hoppers. Keep hopping.